The stock market is blasting through key resistance levels, and we have a gigantic week ahead of us in terms of some big earnings plays very soon, some key economic data, and we just have a lot of things to cover. At the end of today's video, we're going to be covering almost a $500,000 options trade on this one stock that has a pretty dang good setup. Now, Tom, looking at the heat map today, it was a pretty green day, and there was a lot of good momentum throughout multiple industries. I'm excited for the rest of the week. There's going to be a ton of volatility, but what's going on in the market right now, and what do we need to know?
Yeah, Mike. So the S&P 500 had actually a very good day today. We ended up popping up 1.22% there at close. And like you said, we broke above some very key levels today, running all the way up to 380. I really thought that it was nice this morning that we were able to move back above 375. I think that was a pretty big support there. So I was really happy that we pushed back up through that and held heading into close. But very good day overall, Mike. There was a lot of movement back to the upside. Even Snapchat recovered up 10%. I know we talked about this one the other day, how they had fallen down quite a bit. And then we saw a lot of big retailers today, like Costco, Walmart, and some of these slower moving stocks like Pepsi and Kraft Heinz move up 3%. So really good moves, Mike, out of these slower moving stocks. And we even saw bank stocks continue up today, which in my opinion was a pretty good thing for the market. Obviously, the more green, the better, right? So pretty good day overall. My watch list was mixed though. Obviously, some China stocks had some bad news come in.
Yeah, we have to talk about those China stocks. It was just a bloodbath for, companies like Alibaba or, PDD or BIDU and many more. Like these China stocks just got destroyed in a giant way, falling anywhere from like 10% to 25% today alone. Even NEO's down 16%. Tom, what's going on with this?
I know. I feel so bad, especially for NEO holders right now. This was terrible news. And honestly, there's not really any news that necessarily came out today that sparked this. But obviously, Xi Jinping, he pretty much got reelected as, well, I guess we could say reelected. It's not necessarily elections over there, but nonetheless, he came into a third term for his presidential term right now, I guess. A lot of people are saying he's emperor because this guy's actually allowed to remain president for life, considering that they removed term limits. And he just has such a huge grip over I guess you could say the politics over there in China. Keep in mind, this is the Chinese Communist Party, so that might say everything right there in the name. But nonetheless, Mike, this is not good for Chinese stocks. They have been very stringent towards a lot of stocks, and they've tried to impose a lot of regulations and things. And a lot of people are thinking that with him getting this third term here, and with all the big control that he has over the government right now, that this could be bad for stocks, especially that deal obviously with the United States that are on our markets. Keep in mind, there's a lot of Chinese stocks that just trade on foreign markets, but for the ones that are on our markets, Mike, bad news and bad drops. NEO down 15%, and it sucks to see that he got that third term, but keep in mind that was kind of expected.
Exactly. So the main thing to know is that the Chinese government has been going after these Chinese tech stocks pretty hard over the past year, especially with regulations and fines and all that stuff. Long story short, the president Xi Jinping has even more power now, and he's just really loading the government with people who are extremely loyal to him. So you would imagine that if you are a tech executive at one of these companies, you might be a little nervous and the stocks are taking a beating. So keep that in mind. With this event, stocks like Alibaba and a lot of other ones are down. They're at good levels in terms of fundamentals, but there is a very unique risk that you face trading China stocks rather than basically any other stock in the market. These stocks always move in gigantic ways, which is awesome for trading, but they just move differently because whenever you have any sort of catalyst come out of China, it really moves these stocks in either direction.
Yeah, and honestly, Mike, ever since China started doing all this stuff with Taiwan, possibly talking about doing stuff like Russia's done with Ukraine, that has really turned me off to China stocks, plus all the regulations and things just keep adding on. And they have like a zero COVID policy over there where obviously there's been a lot of lockdowns and stuff over the past year. So it's rough over there. It's rough for China stocks. Like you said, they come with a unique risk. Personally, it's not a risk I'm willing to take. I'd rather stick with US companies, but I don't blame people for buying these stocks. They're pretty good companies like Baba, Mike. They look really good when you look at their fundamentals, but I guess it's just obviously a scary situation. And if they do something with Taiwan, that's going to be really bad for these stocks.
Yep. So looking back at like the S&P 500 and the SPY for this week, it's going to be a crazy week. Tell us more about what's on the schedule in terms of earnings and economic data.
Yeah, it's going to be a big week. So obviously we have a huge earnings week here. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but tomorrow, guys, we're going to have UPS, General Motors, Coca-Cola, CLF, and Halliburton reporting before open, along with GE and 3M. It's going to be a pretty big day. Even RTX is mixed in down there. So huge day tomorrow. JetBlue's reporting. I know some people asked about that in Discord today because of their Spirit merger. But nonetheless, Mike, Microsoft, Alphabet, Enphase tomorrow after close. Wednesday, we have Boeing, Meta, Ford, Teladoc. Thursday, Apple, Amazon, Intel, McDonald's, Caterpillar, ExxonMobil, and Chevron on Friday. So it goes on and on with the earnings this week. Pick your sector, Mike. It looks like just about every sector is reporting here.
Exactly. So the volatility is literally only starting for this week. As the week goes on, it's going to get crazier and crazier, not only in terms of earnings, because we have the biggest companies basically reporting this week, but also in terms of economic data. Like, we actually have some pretty big events this week, including GDP data and some other key points. So Tom, fill us in.
Yeah, that GDP data on Thursday is going to be very influential. We came in at negative 0.6% last time. It looks like they're actually expecting a nice jump up here, Mike. 2.4% and 2.5% on the consensus and forecast. So looks like we're going to be back in the positives. Obviously, if we end up in the negative again, that would be terrible considering how high these consensus and forecasts are. But nonetheless, another big thing is going to be the European Central Bank interest rate decision. That'll be coming out Thursday morning, 15 minutes before the GDP data. So be ready for that. If they have an insane rate hike or something, that could maybe spill over into our markets. I know a lot of people have been talking about the euro and obviously the yen and how all these foreign currencies affect us. So be on the lookout for that ECB interest rate decision. It's just like an FOMC event for us.
Yep. So for the GDP data, that comes out 1 hour before market open on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have some key personal income and personal spending data that also comes out 1 hour before market open. And again, that's on Friday. So the volatility will definitely ramp up. What I'm really, really looking forward to throughout this week is earnings. And I know we kind of just talked about this, but it's going to be so important because we have the biggest stocks in the market set to report. And when these stocks report earnings, obviously they move in a big way. When they move in a big way, it drags the whole market with it. So all I'm going to say is be prepared for volatility. I'm leaning more towards the upside considering how low some of these stocks are. And it's not with all stocks, but like some of them, like Meta, I've been watching for quite a while now, and they're just so oversold. And I feel like a lot of the bad news has been priced in. But then again, earnings is earnings. You know, sometimes you have good data in a plunging stock price, and sometimes you have bad earnings and the stock pops up 20%, and you're just like, what? So it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I'm really hoping Meta reports some good numbers, Mike. I'm looking at those headsets that they've been talking about. Maybe that'll start to kick off a little bit more this year with the Meta Quest 2 and all those nice headsets coming out. It's going to be a pretty big thing for them, so maybe that'll help. But obviously, the big thing is going to be the ad numbers from Facebook. And judging by Snapchat, didn't go too well, Mike. But like you said, it could be priced in. We did actually see a pretty good recovery today. Even though Meta's red, I would say it had a very good move considering that big drop we had it open. And of course, Mike, we have other big stocks reporting like Apple, which we've been talking about a lot the past couple weeks. It was actually in a huge range last week, and we're starting to see a nice extension up and out of that. So I'm definitely going to be keeping Apple on the watch list here. I know that recently they cut production of some of their iPhone 14 models. So that maybe that's showing a bit of a loss in demand. I know they did keep the premium phones up high though with their production numbers though. So keep that in mind. It was just the regular 14 model, but it's going to be big, Mike. Lots of companies reporting: Apple, Microsoft, Google, part of the big three tech stocks there.
Yep. So one stock I'm really watching for the rest of this week is Square. Square is bouncing off of a gigantic support right at that like $50 and $55 level. And this goes all the way back like through like a couple of years actually. So this stock is bouncing off of a very key support level. As we can see in the chart, it has a long history of great moves, great volatility. It's oversold in a giant way, and it really hasn't popped up too much just yet. The risk reward ratio looks pretty good, and it's definitely on my watch list.
Yeah, me too, Mike. I mean, it's been on a massive downtrend. It's starting to really consolidate. I think it's finally time for a nice swing back up. I think we could at least see a retest of some of these bigger areas here, like $75 and maybe $85 over the next maybe 6 months or so if the market starts to uptick a little bit more. But yeah, you're right. Really good supports there. And I really like the overall movement there on the stock. But yeah, another stock that I'm really into, Mike, is obviously Microsoft. They're going to have huge earnings coming out this week, and they've been really upticking here over the past couple months. You can see that they've been starting to form a nice support down here ever since around the middle of September, I guess more like 1 month. And we're starting to really bounce off that 235 level, getting a nice extension up into this next resistance somewhere around 250. If we start to see a continuation and a nice breakout here from Microsoft, Apple, and Google this week, I think we could see a very nice uptrend out of these tech stocks. So I'm really glad Microsoft's low right now, Mike. I think it's a pretty good buying point, but I will say Microsoft has held up a lot better than some stocks have this year, but they are fairly low, a lot lower than Apple is, in my opinion.
Yep. One stock I'm really watching is Citigroup. So Citigroup and just other bank stocks have been holding up relatively well lately. Citigroup is also, well, they actually just reported earnings, which is good because it kind of eliminates that earnings crazy risk. And it actually has potential to be an earnings continuation play. And that's basically when we see a company report earnings and then we just see it continue up for weeks and months after the report. And Tom already beat me to it, but we're also bouncing off of a gigantic support level right at like $40. So, it looks good. You know, there's a good risk reward ratio on this one. I will say there is some pretty tough resistance right at 45. I do think there's a good chance we break through that, but that is one risk factor to keep in mind with this one because 45 has been pretty tough over the past year. So we'll say that.
Yeah, it definitely has. And even over the past couple weeks, we've had a few bounces there right around 45. But yeah, watch that one, guys. It's almost triple topping and, in my opinion, setting up very well. I'm really glad, Mike, that these buyers came in off that huge $40 support there, and we saw a nice continuation up after earnings. That's awesome to see. It shows that that support has a lot of buyers. So hopefully we'll start to get a nice uptrend coming soon. But talking about some of these safer stocks, kind of like the bank stocks and stocks like that, I'm kind of looking at some of these retailers today. Walmart had a humongous move to the upside. Keisha keeps talking about this one in the live streams and in Discord. But Mike, I know that we talked about this a little bit last week, and I love this setup here. We filled this small gap that we had on the daily all the way back down, double bottomed at 128, and we're now having some nice extensions back up into that resistance around 142 to 143. So watch out, guys. Walmart it's having a multi-day run here, and hopefully we can get a nice green candle again tomorrow and maybe continue this nice uptrend, especially out of these retailers. Walmart did great today. Costco did great. Johnson & Johnson did great. A lot of these retailers or stocks that deal with consumer spending did pretty well.
Yeah, Walmart's booming up. And Tom, we talked about Walmart to the upside last week. It was actually one of the unusual options plays. So stick with us, guys, for today's unusual options play because it's pretty awesome. And subscribe if you're not already because we post brand new videos every single day. And we're just going to keep adding more and more great setups, especially as the market's so low. So subscribe if you're not already. But Tom, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first momentum play, we have Chewy to the upside.
CHWY, there we go. Wow, look at this nice double top here over the past few weeks. Go ahead and make them break out above 38.50. That's a really nice upper level.
All right, with the next one, we have Bank of America also to the upside.
Yeah, nice to see these banks, and also a bit of a double top going on up here. I'm actually going to draw a nice support line there, or a nice resistance, I should say. So make them break out above 35.40.
And with the next one, we have SWBI also to the upside.
Smith and Wesson, nice to see these guys finally recovering. Make them break out above 10.50. Sorry, the chart looks weird on this. They are just a little bit of like a low volume stock.
Yep, so we are watching SWBI, BAC, and CHWY for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. If you guys are looking for daily options alerts, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot is pretty dang good, especially at intraday options alerts. Today I called out the Meta 135 strike calls at $735 each, and they popped all the way up to $835 each very shortly after. The bot has been on fire lately with just very, very good call outs. Of course, it does lose sometimes, but it has been on fire lately. Friday's GLD play went from 147 up to 219. Thursday's play went from 266 to 320. Wednesday's play went from 230 to 310. It's been on fire. Check it out. If you don't like it, you can cancel it anytime. And if you do want to try it out, you'll get access to our bots plays, daily swing plays, custom bots, a private community, and you'll save because we have an automatic discount code running. So check it out. It's pretty awesome for daily options alerts, and you won't regret it. So definitely check it out. Besides that, Tom, do you have any last minute things you want to cover? I'm very excited for the market because it's going to be a wild, wild week.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we're starting to see some great movement finally come in. So I just kind of want to hype up the market a little bit. Let's go, guys. It's been a long time since we've seen some nice uptrends. Hopefully these continue, Mike. It's looking very good for stocks like Apple, Microsoft, Google. Stocks like that are starting to really point up, which make me happy considering there's some of the bigger tech stocks out there. We even have good old Amazon reporting this week, which I know a lot of people like to talk about Amazon heading into the holidays. So I figured I'd mention them here, Mike. Their setup looks pretty good. It did actually have a red candle on the chart, but that's actually a pretty nice bullish hammer, even though it ended up red, Mike. So pretty nice candle setup. We might see a good continuation. I see some resistance up around 123. So watch for that, but going to be a crazy week, Mike. Here's the earnings one more time if you guys want to screenshot it, but I'm really going to keep my eyes on Meta and Apple and Amazon. Those are going to be my big three for the week.
All right, well, before we close out, you know we have to go over that unusual options play, and it is with SWK. So I saw it nearly $500,000 flow into the 80 strike call options that expire on April 21st of 2023. This stock, honestly, is just oversold as hell, Tom. It is back at that double bottom, right at $70 a share. It has highs close to $220 a share. It's been beaten down significantly over the past year. It looks pretty good. You know, the call play is an opening position. It looks like they're long in those calls. So earnings are coming up, which is a little bit of a risk factor, but I'll tell you, like, in terms of just like risk to reward, this setup looks pretty dang good. For those of you who don't understand options, long story short, someone's betting like nearly $500,000 that this stock will boom up.
Yeah, and as far as all of our price action guys out there go, there's been some huge candlesticks here recently bouncing off that $70 support, which has been a nice support ever since the COVID low. Actually bounced right off the COVID low, Mike. So pretty good setup here. Obviously, we're on support. A lot of big buyers are coming in. That candlestick gives me a lot of confidence there. I really love big bounces like that. It shows that a lot of buyers were coming in down there on support. So hopefully this holds up, Mike. Really good movement. And I think that's an awesome unusual options play. Like you said, we saw an unusual options play out of Walmart last week. And look at it right now, guys. Straight up explosion. So watch out for SWK. Sometimes these plays end up really working out.
Exactly. Last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Bill W. in the YouTube comments and in Discord. Keep up the great activity and good questions. Thank you for being a part of the StockedUp community. Guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below for daily options alerts. This week is going to be wild. Besides that, thanks for watching, and let's have a great week.